yesterday, as a matter of fact, we were kind of talking about the different tiers and the different criterias for severe thunderstorms, and you get a baseline severe thunderstorm, and then you kind of go up to what we call a significant severe storm. And so what you're looking at right now is this severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Imperial County until 4:30, and again, they're calling this a considerable severe thunderstorm warning because of the possibility of wind gusts to 70 miles per hour. And as I look at the presentation of this storm, to me, this looks a little more like a classic supercell more than a pop-up thunderstorm with monsoon season activity. So to me, I would probably call this a supercell thunderstorm right now that has developed across southwestern Imperial County. We were kind of expecting this going into the afternoon, that there would be some showers and thunderstorms that would have a little extra lift and a little extra forcing mechanism because of an area of low pressure off the coast of California. And because of that, we thought the storms would likely be quite a bit stronger today than they were yesterday and be able to sustain themselves for a bit longer. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has Imperial County in a marginal risk level 1 out of 5 for severe weather. But again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30 for southwestern Imperial County. A significant severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So that is very dangerous. And unfortunately, the storm itself is nearly stationary, so it isn't moving at all. But inside this severe thunderstorm warning polygon is Bonds Corner, Date City, Holtville, Waterman's Corner. Let's put this into laps over the past 30 minutes or so, and you can see how the thunderstorm has really developed and exploded in the heating of the day, and then we have a little extra forcing coming in from that low pressure center from the west. So this is how this supercell thunderstorm has developed, and one way that I can tell that this is a supercell is because, number one, it has that hook-like feature to it, right? We have the winds up to 70 miles per hour. You very clearly have a strong inflow notch coming into this storm. So this is the warm, moist air that is feeding into this storm from the south that is mostly uninhibited. So there aren't any really big thunderstorms just to the south of this one. So the inflow is being uninterrupted. So then you're getting those strong, warm, moist winds that are being pulled into the storm. So this is your inflow notch down in here. And then, of course, on the north side of the storm is where you have your hail core, and you can see that in pink. You could almost copy and paste this storm, put it out in Oklahoma, right, and it would look like a supercell, because indeed, this right now is a supercell thunderstorm, and I'm not sure how much longer it will maintain its supercell-like structure and feature to it, but of course, we are monitoring it and we're watching it. As far as any rotation or a tornado threat is concerned, the storms that we're seeing today are elevated above the surface, so our tornado threat is pretty close to zero. But anytime you have a supercell, you want to watch it really closely. Let's get over to our velocity right now, because velocity is going to do a really good job of picking up on where some of these 70 mile per hour wind gusts may be. And again, it's kind of right where I expected it, right where that warm inflow comes into the storm, and you get that inflow notch. So down here, by the way, this is going to be the U.S.-Mexico border. Here's Calexico, but this area is the U.S.-Mexico border. So south of there is Mexico, and then north of there, of course, is southern Imperial County. And so let's go ahead and plot out some of these winds. And keep in mind, we are watching this storm from the Yuma radar site. I see we have a flash flood warning. We'll talk about that in a second. We're watching this storm from the Yuma radar site, which is pretty close by, but still there's going to be some tilt and elevation. So the winds I'm about to plot on here are more than likely above the surface, but you can find some winds in here that are pushing 30 miles per hour, a couple of 100 feet off the surface. And so down at the ground, the winds are most likely getting up to about 70 miles per hour. So really, really strong winds in here. I would say that anybody near Bond Center, near Calexico, you need to be in a sturdy structure, right? This is not a baseline severe thunderstorm warning. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning because of the possibility of winds to 70 miles per hour. And the other problem is the storm is nearly stationary, so it isn't moving. So obviously now we have a flash flood warning that has been issued. Let me grab the text on that one. So this is going to be, let's see here, all in southern Imperial County, this particular cell that we're watching. And so the flash flood warning itself is also under a considerable tag, which is a big deal as well. The flash flood warning is in effect until 7 p.m. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area. So right now this is just radar indicated flash flooding, but still we expect significant flash flooding to begin here shortly. So both our severe thunderstorm warning has a considerable tag on it for winds to 70 miles per hour. And then also our flash flood warning now has a considerable tag on it. The flash flood warning, again, remains in effect until it looks like 7 p.m. and it's anywhere in this green polygon. So that does include Bonds Corner. This includes Clairview Road within both the considerable flash flood warning and then also the severe thunderstorm warning with winds to 70 miles per hour. So let me go ahead and just for a moment, I want to look real quickly. I'm more concerned for right now about the winds than anything else, but here's a look at rainfall rates according to the Yuma radar site over the past 15 minutes. I know this says 3 hours, but this cell really has developed in the past 15 minutes or so. And you can see as we plot some of this on very briefly, spots near Keffer Road in Bond Center. This is Bond Center proper. Spots near Keffer Road have picked up likely about an inch to an inch and a half in the past 15 minutes or so. How about Meaningville Road? About an inch or so as well. Vencile Road, again, all in Bond Center proper, about an inch. So if flash flooding hasn't started, it is likely going to begin very shortly. In the meantime, we continue to monitor our considerable severe thunderstorm warning with winds to 70 miles per hour in here. Boy, if I was in Bond Center, I would be taking shelter right now in an interior room away from windows. You don't need to worry about going to a basement. You don't need to worry about any of that, but just make sure you're away from windows in a sturdy structure. And, if you're nearby glass that can break easily, step away from that, because 50, 55, even 60 mile per hour winds aren't going to be a huge deal when it comes to damage. But when we start getting into this considerable 70 mile per hour damage with wind, that's where you run into problems. So clearly this is a supercell thunderstorm now. It is elevated above the surface, but there's your inflow notch coming into the storm. And I want to pull out for just a second here, see if there's any storms to the south that would be interrupting the inflow into the storm. And at this time, it doesn't appear like it. So this storm may recycle a little bit. It may weaken, and then it will probably pulse back up. We're dealing with a different environment today than we were yesterday out in the San Diego County mountains. This is a little bit more serious, right? So here's your supercell thunderstorm, the inflow, the winds coming in to the storm, obviously, out of the south and southeast. This is warm, moist air that's being pumped in. And then you have your hail core on the north side of the storm. And the hail size on this, according to the National Weather Service, is only at about penny size. I want to get an update here and see if they've changed anything on the text regarding the warning itself. And at this time, they have not. They're still saying that this storm, again, it's considerable severe thunderstorm warning, winds to 70, and penny size hail in here. The hail core, if there is one, is again going to be on the north side up here, out near where East Jasper Road meets Clairview Road is where you're probably finding some penny size hail. And then the wind gusts, those winds that are up to about 70 miles per hour, are going to be on the south side of the storm, which is down in this vicinity closer to the U.S.-Mexico border. If I was in Bond Center, I'd be taking shelter right now inside, away from windows. Bond Center, you have maybe another few minutes until the strong, intense, and severe storms start bearing down on you. I know as you look off to the west, you're seeing a lot of lightning. Let's check out how electric this storm is. We're getting, just within the past 15 minutes, 84, close to 100 strikes of lightning. This indicates that this storm continues to at least maintain its strength, if not strengthen. This is a very severe storm. Again, severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Imperial County until 4:30 with a considerable tag on it, with winds, again, up to 70 miles per hour. So let's go over back to a tool that we call Threat Detector. And Threat Detector does a great job. It's exclusive to us here at Chad Curley Weather, but it does a very, very good job at picking up on where the different types of threats are within a particular cell. And you can see that it is picking up certainly on a hail core at this time. According to our threat detector, the hail size on this, and we actually were able to do this yesterday out in San Diego County, we were able to do, I don't want to say a better job, but maybe a little bit more accurate of a depiction of the hail size than the Weather Service was. And I think penny up to half of an inch size hail is likely with this storm, but again, it's not necessarily the hail that we're concerned about. We are more concerned at this time with the winds. And again, we're looking into this storm now. We have really intense winds that are pushing likely 60 to 70 miles per hour in here. Again, this is going to be the spot, and the storm is stationary, so I would put a track on it, and we'll do that in a second, but the storm is nearly stationary. But 60 to 70 mile per hour winds right now, pushing along Anza Road, Carr Road. Here again is going to be Tubus Road, East Herber Road, Clairview Road, and Fauquet Road, all experiencing wind gusts now in the range of about 60 to 70 miles per hour. And there may even be just a little tick, a very, very small tick of rotation in here. You can see we have winds that are blowing towards and away from the radar site. The good news is this storm is elevated above the surface, so even though we're picking up on a little bit of rotation here, the tornado threat is extremely low. But nonetheless, I like to cover, whenever we're dealing with a supercell thunderstorm, even if it is elevated, I do want to cover our bases a little bit. So let me turn on our shear rate. And yeah, kind of where I was talking to you about just a second ago, there is going to be a little bit of rotation that's being picked up on this storm out near Fawcett Road, East Jasper Road. Probably the center of rotation right now is going to be out near Booker Road, or at least where the rotation was a few moments ago. But I'm not concerned about a tornado threat at this point, just because the storm, again, is elevated above the surface. But there are some tiny pockets of rotation certainly in here. Sometimes you get rotation in a couple of different spots in the storm. Sometimes you can try to get it to form back here. Usually we would look for rotation right in here. And again, the reason I'm doing this is not to hype anything up, but just whenever we deal with a supercell thunderstorm, I like to cover my basis and make sure we're not missing anything. And at this time, we're not. The biggest issue is obviously going to be the very heavy amounts of rain and the winds to 70 miles per hour, right? 70 miles per hour is a big deal when it comes to significant, severe winds that could do damage to life and property. And it is coming into Bond Center right now. If you're in the community of Bonds Corner, if you're in Bonds Corner in Imperial County, you need to be in your safe spot. We have damaging gusts, 70 miles per hour, rolling in to Bonds Corner. Likely the winds that are up to 70 are near Clairview Road, near Carr Road, just west of Bond Center. Again, here is Clairview Road going north to south. It meets right back up here, CA7. This is where we're finding the winds that are probably 60 to 70 miles per hour within this area. It looks like the inflow to this storm may be being choked off just a little bit. Let me put this back into lapse mode over the past 15 minutes. And yeah, the storm, it looked like it had a little better inflow notch a short time ago. It may be getting choked off a little bit. The inflow itself is kind of running into the rain, so getting wrapped up into the rain. What often happens with these supercell thunderstorms, and indeed this is a supercell, is the inflow will temporarily get choked off. It'll kind of wrap itself back into the rain. and then recycle, and we'll get a new area of inflow coming into the storm and kind of a new hook, which may be happening with this cell. But obviously the biggest concern at this point, it's the two things. It's the winds to 70 miles per hour, and then also the possibility of significant flash flooding. So we have a flash flood warning with a considerable tag on it until 7 p.m. For southwest Imperial County, and then of course until 4:30 we have our considerable severe thunderstorm warning with winds to 70 miles per hour. And I would suspect that the strongest winds right now are, again, just to the west of Bond's Corner at this time. And I want to see if the Weather Service has changed the speed at all on this storm. They're saying it is still nearly stationary. Let's see if we can't maybe try to get an estimate on some of the speed. It may be trying to push northeast at about 5 miles per hour or less, even 3 miles per hour. So with that being said, let's put a little mini track on this. Bond's Corner, for the time being, is fairly dry. You're just starting to see a little bit of the light rain coming into Bond's Corner. But as we kind of track this out a little bit, I want to pinpoint when the heaviest rain will actually get into Bond's Corner and the destructive wind. So it is 4:14 right now, with the cell moving very slowly to the north-northeast at about 3 to 5 miles per hour. That would put the 70 mile per hour wind gusts into Bond's Corner by 4:45, if not a little bit sooner than that. So boy, if you're in Bond's Corner right now, you gotta take shelter. These are mean-looking winds. And again, you can see as we dissect this storm, the inflow, this is the inflow, is being choked off a little bit by the rain coming back here on the west and northwest side of the storm. So for right now, the inflow into this storm is being choked off, so that may lead to a temporary weakening trend. We'll see whether or not that happens. One thing that I have noticed is the hail core here on the north side of this supercell has picked up a little bit. So you're probably getting some small hail right now near Fawcett Road. And again, this is East Jasper Road. So between East Jasper Road and Fawcett Road, and this is all west of Bond's Corner. In this vicinity, you're probably getting at least some penny-size hail. But the biggest concern with this big-time storm is going to be for the possibility of wind gusts to 70 miles per hour and also the flash flooding. We haven't really touched on the flash flooding here, and I would like to again. So the flash flood warning itself remains in effect until 7 p.m., and it's because this storm is moving oh so slowly at about 3 to 5 miles per hour, and the rainfall rates are pretty intense. Let me show you. Let me try to pinpoint some of this. That's going to show up in DBZ for me, isn't it? Let's see if we can't. Again, here's our Barron button, by the way, or our threat detector, which does a fantastic job on picking up on any kind of threat. And remember, a second ago, I said the hail core may be ticking up a little bit here up near Fawcett Road, between Fawcett Road and Jasper Road, west and northwest of Bond's Corner, and that looks like that may be the case. And so here, some estimated hail size, now getting up to 1 inch in diameter on this. So here's for some reference where we're looking again in southwest Imperial County. Here's California Highway 7. West of California Highway 7 is Clearview Road. And then you go west and run into Fawcett Road and East Hibber Road and Coral Road. And this is where right now we're probably finding the hail core up to 1 inch. So now this storm not only has 70 mile per hour wind gusts, the hail core is expanding on this. Actually out near, here's North Imperial Highway, just east of North Imperial Highway, at the cross section of North Imperial Highway and East Jasper County, or East Jasper Road, we may be now finding hail up to 1.5 inches. So this storm, I'm confident saying, yeah, there's your hail core on it. I'm confident saying now that we have winds to 70 miles per hour within this storm, up to 70. That's probably where it's capped. We now have hail that is 1.5 inches in diameter, which is above severe limits for sure. And then also a considerable flash flood warning in effect as well. So this is a very severe storm right now in far southwestern Imperial County. And I'll tell you what, this morning, some of the high-resolution computer models picked up on this exact cell doing exactly what it is right now, and that's why my concern was raised. So if you're just joining us right now, we have ongoing significant and major severe weather in southwestern Imperial County. We have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30 that includes Holtville, Date City, Bond Center, Calexico for the possibility of wind gusts to 70 miles per hour and hail up to 1.5 inches in diameter. The storm is moving nearly stationary. Because of that, we also have a flash flood warning that's in the green polygon. It includes Bond Center as well. If flash flooding hasn't started, it will shortly. This is a considerable flash flood warning. It has been a moment since we've checked on the accumulation. And notice within the past hour or so, I know it says 3 hours up there, but within the past hour, we've picked up on, more than our monthly rainfall rate for June and July and August combined together. So this is a very flat area. There are plenty of dry creeks and streams that run through here, especially like north of Date City, north of Bond Center. You have plenty of dry creeks and streams. And I'll tell you what, when you get 1.5 inches of rain falling in an hour or less, what ends up happening is major flash flooding can start occurring. So that is why there is a significant, considerable flash flood warning that's in effect right now until 7 p.m. for that green shaded polygon. Now, back over to our severe storm, I can see the National Weather Service has trimmed down the severe thunderstorm warning a little bit. It no longer includes Bond Center. And if you were with me like 15 minutes ago, what I told you was happening was, I said, okay, at one point the storm clearly had undisturbed, look at the timestamp, this is 4:07. At one point this storm clearly had undisturbed inflow coming into it, right? And then all of a sudden you heard me say, okay, by around like 4:14, I said the inflow looks like it's getting choked off a little bit around Bond Center. It's getting wrapped back up into the rain, and so we may see some weakening. And sure enough, that's what happened. It weakened. So you're following along with me with the meteorology, and I said you're going to get a new inflow notch somewhere in the vicinity of this cell, and guess what? That's exactly what has happened. So now here's our brand new cell that has popped up, or it is the same thunderstorm, but it is reorganized. It's found itself a new inflow notch, which again is just warm, moist air feeding into the storm. Here's the new inflow notch right over Calexico, just to the southeast of Calexico. And the hail size has really shot up on this as well. Again, I think this is a situation where we kind of caught the hail before the National Weather Service did. So let's see what they're saying on this for the severe thunderstorm warning. So they're saying penny-size hail still. I can tell you that the hail size is likely a little bit larger than that. And this is changing scan by scan. They've also dropped the winds down to 60 miles per hour. So here's what I think is going on. Here's my diagnosis, my meteorological diagnosis, if you will. Right, when this storm had this very clear undisturbed inflow notch around 4:03 as it was approaching Bond Center, that inflow notch obviously was helping crank in that warm, moist air, which was feeding into the supercell, and that's why we were getting those winds to 70 miles per hour. Then, all of a sudden, inflow gets cut off, right? So there it goes. Inflow's cut off. The storm is forced to weaken a little bit. And then it finds a new area to find a clean inflow. And here it is around Calexico. In the process of all of this happening, because the storm is recycling, the severe wind speeds have dropped down from 70 to 60 miles per hour, at least temporarily. Now, we're going to have to really watch the next couple of scans particularly closely, because what might end up happening is, because this storm has recycled, this is going to be your new area of concern, your new inflow notch coming in here. The winds may tick up again, back up to 70 miles per hour, because this storm is recycling. It's in an environment. We actually have forcing today for storms. There's a low pressure system off the coast of California. It's trying to bump in to our ridge of high pressure, our monsoonal ridge. And what's ending up happening is it's giving us a little extra forcing out here in Imperial County for severe thunderstorms. So that's why these storms are behaving a little bit differently than they did yesterday, say out in the San Diego County mountains, where we'd get a severe thunderstorm that would pop up and then 10 minutes later it would kind of fall apart. This is kind of more of a significant severe weather event. And the Storm Prediction Center picked up on this pretty quickly. So here's what the storm looks like right now. There's your new inflow notch that's coming into the storm. It doesn't look quite as organized as the first original inflow notch, but regardless, down here just east of Calexico is where you're getting the very high winds, 55 to 60 miles per hour, and just like in typical supercell fashion, on the north end of it is where you're getting your hail core. So let's track down to street level on this again and show you that the hail core itself, the National Weather Service says penny size hail. I'm going to say the hail's probably a little bit bigger than that. In fact, I would have to say the hail size on this is now up to, we'll clear this off for just a second. I would say the hail size is now up to 1.5 inches in a few particular isolated locations. So, where is that? Where is the hail the biggest as this storm recycles and starts to get a little bit stronger? So you're probably finding this 1 to 1.5 inch size hail running along North Imperial Avenue. And if you get off on North Imperial Avenue, you take the exit either east or west onto East Jasper Road. And then again, you go north again. The next exit would be East Fawcett Road right there. This is where the hail core is, where you're finding some pockets of hail up to 1 inch, and then some cases up to 1.5 inches in diameter, certainly within this area. So I'm going to say the hail is probably a little bit bigger than what the National Weather Service is advertising. The winds, I think, are probably on par with some gusts to 60. But yeah, that looks pretty organized to me. Here's a loop over the past 15 minutes or so. And it's so interesting to see. I love watching meteorology in real time. You can see the original inflow notch get cut off. The storm goes, what am I going to do now? It decides to recycle. Now we're getting a brand new inflow notch on the supercell, a hail core, a new hail core, and likely winds that are strengthening. So if you're in Calexico at this point, you need to be sheltered for sure. Anywhere in Calexico, north of Calexico, along Rockwood Avenue. Again, we talked about East Jasper Road, north of Calexico, up through Meadows Road, where Meadows Road meets East Jasper Road, north of Calexico. You need to be sheltered for sure because the winds are very strong, and then also the possibility of some hail. The storm is doing something kind of weird when it comes to its movement. It's actually, and I think this is because it's trying to reorganize and strengthen, it's actually moving west a little bit. There you go. Boom. New severe thunderstorm warning just came out because the storm is recycling and moving west. So new severe thunderstorm warning. It's so funny how we watched this happen in real time, right? We were diagnosing it. We were looking at how it was happening. So new severe thunderstorm warning is out now until 5:15. Because the storm has recycled, it's doing something weird with its movement. It's moving to the west instead of to the east. But the new severe thunderstorm warning is until 5:15 here. And it includes Mount Signal. It includes Heber. The new polygon includes Anza, not Anza up in Riverside County. This is Anza in Imperial County. It does not include El Centro. It includes Waterman's Corner as well, and obviously it includes Calexico. So new severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15 for that area. Right now, they are indicating winds to 60 and the hail size just below severe limits. I think kind of what I was saying when we were looking at the hail tracker, the hail size is probably a little bit bigger than that, bigger than what the National Weather Service is advertising. I just turned the air conditioning on, so I'm going to bring the microphone a little bit closer to me. They're still saying the storm is nearly stationary. However, we can obviously see a very slow westward tick as the storm has recycled. Really clean inflow notch here now, just to the east of Calexico. So a clean looking inflow notch east of Calexico, and then your hail core up here on the north side. This is every bit a supercell thunderstorm. The good news is it is elevated, it is above the surface. So that is the one thing, because we have some wind shear out there today too, that is the one thing that is inhibiting a tornado threat from developing today. But again, this severe thunderstorm warning, new severe thunderstorm warning for Mount Signal, through Anza, through Waterman's Corner, Heber included in this, as well as the storm kind of backtracks to the west very slowly, I would say at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's get you a track on it. Weather Service says it's stationary. I see it moving west at about 5 to 10. So let's put a track on this. I'm going to take off the severe thunderstorm warning information tag there for just a second. And we'll track this out to the west at about, 5 to 10. Let's give you a little extra lead time. Let's go 9 miles per hour. Approximate times of arrival for our severe thunderstorm with winds to 60 and the possibility of hail up to 1.5 inches, arriving in Heber at around 4:36. The time right now is 4:29. Into Waterman's Corner by 4:38. Anza by 5:01. El Centro, if it holds itself together, by 5:16. And we'll see by around 5:26. This is also running parallel to Interstate 8, so if there's any truckers, drivers out there right now who are trying to drive along Interstate 8 here, it's not a good idea. There's a lot of folks, a lot of people who try to drive along, truckers especially, Interstate 8, and usually they go from out here near San Diego, they traverse the 8, and they usually try to end up going out to Yuma. So if you know anybody right now who maybe is on the 8 near Boulder Park or near Coyote Wells, and they're trying to travel east here on the 8 towards Yuma, tell them not to. There is a very severe thunderstorm in this area. So much lightning too, 120 strikes in the past 15 minutes. It's been a while since Southern California has seen a storm this severe, I'll be honest with you, and we're here live tracking it. So I turned the lightning off for just a second because it was kind of cluttering the screen, and I like a nice clear screen when we track severe weather. But boy, oh boy, let me take this out of animation mode, and you could you could copy and paste this and put this out in the plains of Oklahoma, and it would look like a supercell, right? Because this is definitely exhibiting some trademarks of a supercell thunderstorm. Let's get back over to velocity for a second and play with it and see if we can plot out where some of the stronger winds might actually end up being right now. And remember, initially what happened was our storm came into Bond's Corner, the inflow notch got cut off, so the storm started thinking to itself, well, what am I going to do next, right? I'm in a good environment. So it decides it's going to weaken temporarily. It recycles, and then we get a new inflow notch out here near Calexico and Heber. So here are some winds that we can kind of plot on for you a little bit. And again, keep in mind we're pretty far from the Yuma site, so the winds you're about to see are above the surface, but still, north of Heber there, and southwest of Waterman's Corner, Doppler radar estimating winds to 48 above the surface. Down at the surface, you're probably getting some gusts closer to about 60 miles per hour, if not a little bit higher than that. So there's reflectivity again. Some of what we just saw on velocity out near Heber and near Waterman's Corner might actually be outflow winds. Sometimes you get big gust fronts that come out ahead of these storms, these big gust fronts that are out ahead of the storm and may end up producing the 60 mile per hour winds as well, on top of what's actually going on within the storm. So severe thunderstorm warning continues until 5:15 for the orange polygon. We also have a considerable flash flood warning here in the green polygon. That includes Bond's Corner. With regards to the severe thunderstorm warning, again, they say it is stationary. I see that slight west movement to northwest movement, about 5 to 10. That's why we tracked it out with you. And then as far as the flash flooding warning is concerned, that one remains in effect until 7 p.m. and it does have a considerable tag on it. So a considerable tag on this flash flood warning. And as we look at the accumulations here over the past, let's do, this says 3 hours, this is an hour. Over the past hour or so, I mean, my goodness, you're talking about spots that have picked up close to 2 inches of rain. This is Imperial County. It doesn't rain out here very much. So these are spots that have picked up 1 to 2 inches of rainfall in the past hour. That is like May, June, July, August combined. When it comes to normal rainfall, I'm just checking any updates on the flash flood warning to see if we have any actual reports of flooding. Still Doppler radar indicated, but still it is a possibility. I would actually say it's likely at this point that there is flash flooding ongoing near Bond Center and just to the west there of Bond Center. So clearly a very serious situation that continues to unfold. All I'm doing right now is every now and then I like to check out the technical scene and make sure that everything's working, the microphones are working, the camera is working, and it does look like it is right now. Although I'm going to adjust one thing for you folks who are watching on TikTok, just one small thing behind the scenes, and then I promise we'll get right back to tracking this storm. Let's see if I adjust that. Does that fix that? I just want it to be centered. Yes, it does fix it a little bit. Okay, so back over to our storm tracking. Again, obviously the biggest concern, our two biggest concerns are the amount of rain that has fallen and then also the severe thunderstorm itself. Now, I will say, in the past 15 minutes, it does look like our lead supercell here, our main storm, is starting to weaken just a little bit. It's not presenting nearly as strong as it did an hour ago or so. So we're losing a little bit of oomph to this storm. I think it's having a hard time figuring out what it wants to do because we had an inflow notch that developed near Calexico, and then now it looks like south of the border near Rancho Santo Nino in Baja and north of Progreso is where the new inflow notch is trying to take place. The storm is getting messy. But we do have a brand new flash flood warning that has just come out. And so I want to read the text to you as it occurs. And this is, again, because this cell has drifted at one point from Bond's Corner westward towards Calexico, near Heber now, and the storm is only moving at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And so because of that, you're getting these really high rainfall rates in a desert area that normally doesn't receive much rainfall. So, for the sake of clarity, I'm going to turn off for a second the severe thunderstorm warning just so you can see our active flash flood warning. So, we have the first flash flood warning that's still in effect until 7 o'clock. That one includes Bond Center, and then a brand new flash flood warning that has just come out until 7:30. This includes Heber, Waterman's Corner. This also includes Calexico. Calexico is probably going to be the biggest population center in here. And per the text on the National Weather Service on this new flash flood warning, again, this is a weather service in Phoenix that is issuing all of this. Let's see if we can grab it. I'm going to turn off kind of what I did up there with you. Turn that off. So they're calling this a considerable flash flood warning as well until 7:30. Rainfall rates on this one are obviously going to be very high. They're talking about between quarter of an inch and an inch of rain per hour with this cell, and an additional half of an inch to 2 inches may fall with this cell over the course of the next couple of hours. So new flash flood warning out, a considerable flash flood warning for a new part of Imperial County. The polygon includes Calexico, Heber, Waterman's Corner. This does include Anza as well, and the considerable flash flood warning is until 7:30. Let's check on accumulation here, Doppler radar estimated accumulation. And I think what the National Weather Service in Phoenix is doing is they are kind of thinking ahead of time. They know this storm is very slowly drifting to the west, and they know the rainfall totals are going to start to add up. So far in Calexico, we've only seen about a quarter of an inch of rainfall, but as this cell gets closer to you and moves closer to you and on top of you at a very slow movement, west at 5 miles per hour, the rain is going to add up. That's why they said half of an inch to an inch and a half of rain is possible within this new flash flood warning polygon. So if you're in Calexico, I want you inside, not trying to drive on the road at any point, because number one, there is a severe thunderstorm over the area, and then also now we have this new flash flood warning that has been issued, again, that is in effect until 7:30, and it is a considerable flash flood warning. Let's turn back on our severe thunderstorm warning polygon, and you can see the severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect here until 5:15, and so it's 4:39 right now. And again, the storm is moving extremely slowly. It is drifting extremely slowly off to the west at about 5 miles per hour. The National Weather Service says it is located over Calexico and is nearly stationary with 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Let's get down into Calexico. So you can see, if you're in Calexico right now, you have extremely heavy amounts of rain that's falling, a little bit of hail. In fact, along East 5th Street, between East 1st Street and East 5th Street, south of downtown Calexico, is probably where we're finding a little bit of hail falling. In fact, as we look at our Barron button, this is our threat detector, which again is a tool that is exclusive to us. It is picking up on hail up to an inch. So I'm going to, I don't want to say disagree, I'm going to advance or sort of continue to track what the National Weather Service is saying. They're saying the hail size is a little bit smaller than this. With this particular tool, it's been accurate all week. I would say that you probably have hail that's falling up to an inch near or just south of Calexico. In fact, our hail core at the moment on this cell is going to be just to the south of Calexico at this time. So obviously you have South Imperial Avenue that runs north to south through Calexico, and then as you drop just southeast of Calexico, you start talking about some of these areas like Heber Ave, East 5th Street, again, all in Calexico or just southeast of downtown Calexico, East 5th Street, East 7th, here's Dual Avenue, Gills Ave, Blair Ave, Mary Ave, all in the line and currently being impacted by what appears to be hail that could be up to 1 inch in diameter. And this kind of follows, again, here's Calexico, South Imperial Avenue, and then you go where Calexico meets East Birch Street. So if you were in Calexico and you are looking downtown, you have South Imperial Avenue, and then you look east and you have East Birch Street. So east of South Imperial Avenue and then south of East Birch Street in Calexico is where we're picking up right now on hail that could be about an inch in diameter. The storm itself continues to be warned, particularly for the possibility of wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. I think as we turn on our velocity tool, you know, there's definitely going to be some pockets of wind in here for sure. I'm curious as to whether or not these are reaching severe criteria. We can plot that out too. Here's 25, 30. Yeah, so again, what's happening here is we're looking into the storm. The radar site that we're using right now is Yuma's radar site. And the Yuma radar site sits southeast of where we're looking at the moment. And what we're doing is what the radar beam is doing is it's shooting up into the sky, right? Because the radar doesn't stay flat, it shoots up into the sky. And so we're gaining several hundred feet of altitude. So when I plot these winds on here, where you're seeing 25 miles per hour in your Comanche Street, that's what's happening above the surface. Down at the ground, more than likely what's going on is we're finding winds 55, close to 60 miles per hour within this storm, and just torrential amounts of rain. This storm has kind of lost its supercell structure. It hasn't fallen apart. This is now just a messy complex of storms. At one point, you'll remember, as we lapsed this over the past hour, at one point this storm looked really organized. I mean, it looked like a classic supercell rolling through Bond Center and Mexicali. I'll have to take a screenshot of this later and send it to some of my meteorologist friends out in the Midwest. But this looked like a supercell that was coming into Bond's Corner. The precipitable water values are really high today, and so you'll notice the storm kind of fell apart, weakened, expanded, pushed back to the west, and now it's just messy. And we have a lot more storms here in Baja that are going to be trying to move north as well. Also want to mention we have strong storms that are going up now. It's going to be a bumpy evening. We have strong storms that are now developing here over the Mesquite area in Imperial County, west of Imperial Gables. This is kind of a sparsely populated area. Here's Palo Verde. Again, Palo Verde in Imperial County, not up near LA. South and southwest of Palo Verde, you have some strong thunderstorms that are going up. They're just starting to develop. In fact, we have 1, 2, 3 cells that are starting to develop. We'll see if they can separate themselves from each other and not kind of bump into the atmosphere and bump into themselves. They may be able to become strong to severe here pretty quickly. We'll watch and wait on that. Obviously, we have our big mess of thunderstorms in a thunderstorm complex right now that is down here near Calexico and Mount Signal. So I want to do a full recap for those of you who are just joining us and what we have going on. So the time now is 4:45. There's still plenty of daytime heating, especially in the summer, for more storms to go up. We have active severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm Chad Crilly, and we are tracking severe weather in Imperial County at the moment. We have 2 flash flood warnings that have a considerable tag on them and a severe thunderstorm warning that has winds up to 60 miles per hour. We also have new thunderstorms that are developing north and east of that particular cell, east of Brawley, east of Calipatria, and those cells are intensifying rapidly. They'll likely become severe within the next half hour to an hour. Now, in the meantime, I want to drop back down into our cells here in southern Imperial County, give you a complete and full update on what we have going on. Let's start first with our severe thunderstorm warning. This includes Herbert, it includes Calexico, it does include Mount Signal as well. The cell itself has been behaving kind of erratically, but right now it looks like the heaviest of the rain is over Calexico, and the heaviest wind is likely just west of there near Herbert, with some winds 50 to 55 miles per hour. Also, the cell has kind of back-built itself closer to Mount Signal. So Mount Signal, you're now getting in on the heavy rain, the thunder, the lightning. I've turned off the lightning because this storm itself is extremely electric, producing hundreds of lightning strikes. And when I turn on the lightning, the screen gets a little cluttered, but we can at least turn on the lightning count there. In the past 15 minutes, we've been talking about almost 100 strikes of lightning. But again, as the storm kind of back builds on itself, spots like Mount Signal are now getting heavy amounts of rain. So the storm is probably moving to the west at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So let's get a fresh track on this, and then I'm going to talk about our flash flood warnings that we have in place. So storm is moving west now at about 10 to 15. here's a fresh track for you. Heavy rain, wind, and some small hail coming into El Centro in 2 minutes, if not now. Into the community of Wilsey by around 4:56, Sealy at 5:06, Edgar by 5:11, and Dixieland by 5:17. Some small hail is possible in here. Wind gusts within the cell itself, probably widespread wind gusts, 30 to 40 miles per hour, and then isolated gusts in here up to about 60 miles per hour with this storm that again is back building. It's now headed west. It's rolling into El Centro right now. It is over Heber and over Mount Signal, and again it's moving a little bit, but it's not moving fast enough to mitigate any flash flooding concerns. So that leads me over to the other two warnings we want to talk about. So we talked about, right, our severe storm that is moving into El Centro right now. I want to jump on the two flash flood warnings that we have in place, and I'm going to take this out of lapse mode for just a moment. So one flash flood warning here until 7 p.m. That includes Bonds Corner. It's not raining as heavily there anymore, but at one point Bonds Corner was getting extremely heavy amounts of rain. This is a considerable flash flood warning until 7 p.m. As you look at the accumulation, obviously very high amounts of rain have fallen. This is a desert. Sometimes these places don't even get this much rain over the course of 6 months. So 1 to 1.5 inches of rain have fallen near Bond Center. That's why we have that flash flood warning. Let's track west. We have another flash flood warning. This one's a little bit bigger, also has a considerable tag on it, and it is also overlaid where we have our severe thunderstorm warning at the moment. So flash flood warning on this one, considerable, until 7:30, includes Heber, includes Waterman's Corner, includes Anza, does not include El Centro at this time. And you can see the rainfall rates here over the past hour, not as intense as the storm that was over Bonds Corner, but what the National Weather Service in Phoenix is doing is they're thinking ahead, and they realize that the storm is moving very slowly, so they've kind of preemptively issued this flash flood warning right now for Waterman's Corner down through Heber and into Calexico, not including Holtville, until 7:30, because they believe heavy amounts of rain that are going to fall in this area could lead to flash flooding. So that's the deal. We have storms that are producing heavy amounts of rain, flooding concerns, two considerable flash flood warnings, and then also our severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 5:15. It's now 4:50. This storm is still pretty strong. It's moved to the west a little bit. It's been exhibiting some really strange storm behavior. Odd steering currents today. There is a little forcing out there, but it is not, the storm is not as strong as it was an hour ago or so when it moved out of Baja and then into Bonds Corner, but still, it's electric, it's raining hard, the winds are 40 to 45 miles per hour widespread in this storm, and there could be some isolated gusts up to 60. We've been able to kind of plot for you that this storm has been moving out to the west and northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, which means one of two things are going to happen. Either the National Weather Service is going to let this severe thunderstorm warning expire on time at 5:15 as the cell moves out of the warned area, or they're going to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning. They could draw one up that would look something like this. As that cell kind of moves west and northwest. Regardless, we can tell you that a very strong storm is now moving into El Centro. And El Centro is one of the biggest populated areas that we have out here in Imperial County. So it is raining heavily right now in El Centro. If you're coming home from work, if you're driving from work, or maybe you're going out, grabbing dinner with the family, get ready, because number one, it's going to be a rough ride, and number two, the weather is going to get really bad, and it's going to stay bad for a while. So the heaviest of the rain is now coming into El Centro as we speak. Adams Avenue, West Main Street, you track just south and east of there along Dongwood Road, South Clark Street, West McCabe Road. This is south of El Centro, but in El Centro proper. That's where we have the very heavy rain that we're watching right now. And then the core part of this severe storm is, again, to the south and southwest of El Centro, tracking into town as we speak. So El Centro, get ready. It is about to get very loud, wet, and unsettled here for a little bit. And it is possible that we could get a severe thunderstorm warning depending on how this storm behaves coming into El Centro. But for right now, this is, I would kind of start to think, or be more inclined to think, that we're transitioning out of a severe thunderstorm phase with this particular cell and getting more into the hydrology issues with the heavy amounts of rain that continue to fall here over a very short period of time that is leading to these considerable flash flood warnings. Imperial, you're also up next for heavy rain and thunderstorms. Already seeing a little bit of lightning coming into Imperial. So let's give you a fresh track on this and show you what's going to happen and where this storm is going. Again, moving to the west, northwest now at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So into Wilsey at around 4:57. Imperial, I know it's raining now, but the weather is about to get a lot worse if you're watching in Imperial by 5:04. Sealy by 5:12. You can expect rain and thunderstorms knocking on your doorstep. Edgar by around 5:19. Dixieland by around 5:26. Again, that is when the worst of the weather will be arriving into your area. Let's track back down to the south again for a second, and I'm going to turn the laps off. Wow, look at all this rain that's coming down over Heber right now in Calexico. It is just dumping rain. Really, really intense amounts of rain in here. Here's the hail swath, by the way, which basically shows us over the course of the past hour to hour and a half, where has the hail been? And it kind of matches up with the storm's behavior. At one point, we had a swath of hail over Calexico and north of Calexico, and then now a little bit of a swath of hail over Heber and just north of there, south of El Centro, southwest of Anza, southwest of Waterman's Corner. But yeah, these two spots were certainly the two hot spots when it came to where we found our hail and our hail cores. I'm curious to see what the hail looks like right now on this storm. As we go back over to our Barron button, it's still picking up. Does this match up with reflectivity? Yeah, it does. So it's still picking up on likely some quarter-size hail, penny-size hail over Heber. As I put this into motion, watch what happens. The hail core weakened a little bit, but if you're in El Centro, I would expect to see some hail moving into town along with those gusty winds. At least penny-size hail coming into El Centro here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And then obviously the rain rate is going to continue to pick up quite a bit. With that, what I was going to do is check the velocity again here. And remember, velocity is a tool that shows us how strong the winds are, where they're blowing. It can also, in situations where you're dealing with tornadic activity, pick up on rotation. There are some pockets of wind, outflow wind, I think, here with this cell. Let's check it out. Just south of Interstate 8, south of Wilsey and southeast of Sealy, we're getting a gust to 50 right now. In El Centro, we're getting some very small wind gusts, but check that out. South of Interstate 8, southeast of Sealy, southwest of El Centro, we're picking up on a wind gust that is near 50. Now, I want to turn on reflectivity here for a second. And yeah, this is interesting. So right now, the strongest winds are right about here, up to 50 miles per hour. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, okay, it's not raining there. What's going on? Well, we have outflow winds that are pushing out away from this storm. Outflow winds like that often get to you before the rain does. And those outflow winds, like we just saw, are likely producing some 50-plus mile per hour gusts. The other thing about outflow winds is they tell us a story about the weather, right? The outflow winds, I think, are an indication that, perhaps the storm may be weakening. Whenever you get a thunderstorm, and I can actually make this don't know if I want to, but I can make the radar a little bit more sensitive to see if I can pick up on the outflow winds themselves. Sometimes you can see it. But whenever you get outflow winds that are pushing away from a storm, it can be a sign that the storm is weakening. So possibly this storm is weakening. It isn't looking as organized for sure as it did about 45 minutes ago or so. I'm going to show you the evolution of the storm again in just a second, but in the meantime, we have really intense weather moving into our most populated part of town, one of the most populated parts of Imperial County, which is El Centro. And El Centro, it is about to come down. You're going to get some wind, some rain. There's a little hail core near West McCabe Road, kind of right where West McCabe Road meets up with Nicholas Road in this area. The hail core is ticked up just a touch. Doesn't necessarily mean the storm is like getting much stronger. It's just as we go from scan to scan, you're going to see a little bit of variability. But yeah, I would say east of Nicholas Road and then north of West McCabe Road, right in this area, and then south of the 8 is where we probably have a little bit of a hail core that's being picked up on this storm right now. And the hail size is, as I would bet, probably up to at least half an inch. It may briefly, right this second, be at severe criteria. So yeah, our threat detector, which again, as a reminder, is exclusive to us here at Chad Curley Weather, is picking up on hail right now, just within the last scan, up to an inch. So we're back to severe hail on this storm. Again, I know that the National Weather Service product says the hail is much smaller than that, but really what the cool thing about what I'm doing here in Chad Curley Weather and with the tools that we have, I mean, we have tools that nobody else has. We can actually take it a step further and look into the storm in ways that other meteorologists cannot. And so right this second, this threat detector, boy, has it been on par the past couple of days. It is picking up on severe hail, which would be up to an inch right now. An inch of severe hail. Precisely where? Let's find out. So, isn't this cool how we can really get down to street level? We have likely a hail core with hail up to an inch that is falling. Well, here's West McCabe Road, right? Here's West McCabe Road, where West McCabe Road meets Austin Road and goes north. And then in that area is where we're probably finding some hail that is up to an inch in diameter, which again is the necessary criteria for a storm to be severe. So for the time being, with the latest radar scan, and there's the newest scan that just came in, there's a small, very small pocket in here where the hail is up to an inch. And that again right now is going to be, here's West McCabe Road. Here's South Laboratory Road. And here's Nuffer Road. And sort of within that area is where we're finding hail right now that is probably up to an inch. Very, very small pocket. The rest of this is heavy, heavy amounts of rain. We have rainfall rates in El Centro now that are at, in some cases, either an inch or 2 inches per hour, which basically means if this storm was to sit over top this location for an hour, if it was to sit over El Centro for an hour, you would get anywhere from an inch to 2 inches of rainfall. So down the line, we may eventually see or need a flash flood warning. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning coming out as we speak. So it is getting busier. I'm going to expect it to continue to get busier. I'm going to probably be with you for a while here. A new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. I'll widen out the view for just a second. New severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45. This is across, I would call it, east central Imperial County. And let me grab the text for you. This one looks messy. It doesn't necessarily have that supercell look to it that some of the other cells did. This one is for winds to 60 miles per hour and hail 0.75 inches. That is below severe limits. The straight text from the National Weather Service says a severe thunderstorm was located 23 miles northeast of Holtville or 25 miles east of Brawley, moving northeast. At least we have a movement on this one, right? At 5 miles per hour. 60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail possible within this storm. Here it is. It is likely going to be impacting Mesquite, Imperial Gables, also in the line for this storm. Let's put an animation on this over the past 15 minutes. And you'll remember a short time ago I said to you, if some of these storms can remain individual in nature, they could become severe. That didn't happen. Those 3 individual cells merged together, and then now we have one big severe thunderstorm. And with this one, I really truly believe this is a baseline severe thunderstorm. We're probably not finding a ton of gusts widespread up to 60, but there's definitely going to be some wind gusts in here, 40 to 45, maybe up to 50 miles per hour as this storm continues to move northeast at about 5 miles per hour. So with that being said, let's go ahead and track it out for you. And this is going to be kind of a funny one to track because it's moving northeast at 5. So here's our tracker tool. Northeast at about 5, like that. And then I'm going to take this out further. I'm going to take the track out further. We'll go... We're going to push this out just for the sake of it. Probably another like 2 hours or so, because the storm may end up picking up speed. So on its current path, it'll be in Mesquite at around 5:27, and then if this complex of storms holds itself together, it wouldn't really be until about 8:15 that it gets into Imperial Gables. If you're in Imperial Gables right now and you're looking to the west, you're almost certainly seeing a lot of lightning strikes in the distance. Bear with me for just a moment. It's getting a little sunny here. And so I'm just going to close the blinds in the studio. We're going to get better blinds eventually. And see if that helps out at all with the lighting situation, and it does. I'll bring some of these studio lights just a tiny bit closer to me, like that. There we go. All right, we're back to business. All right, so there's that new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued, and it includes right now Imperial Gables. Into Imperial Gables by 8:15, Mesquite by around 5:27. I would suspect into Glams at around 5:30, and you can see that the warning is in effect until 5:45. So we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings right now that we're tracking across our area here in Imperial County. The first one, and the one that we've spent sort of the most time on, has been the one down here in near El Centro and Heber, and near Waterman's Corner. The storm structure itself doesn't look nearly as impressive to me, but it is producing extreme amounts of rain. So the warning is set to expire at 5:15. I would be curious to see whether or not they choose to extend the warning or cancel it, or what they plan on doing with it, because the storm structure has kind of fallen apart a little bit. I'll put this into animation mode so you can kind of see what to expect here. And what's been interesting about this storm, well, number one, it's been sitting over some of the same areas for a very long period of time, and that is what's led to some of the flash flood warnings that we've seen been issued. In fact, we have two flash flood warnings that are in effect right now that we're watching, and they both have considerable tags on them, so considerable flash flood warning tags on them. And so, you know, obviously with those, you want to take them extremely seriously. we don't want to be messing around with that because we know we're in a part of the country down in Imperial County that does get quite a bit of flooding when it comes to our heavy rain threat. I'm just trying to adjust the lighting. I know it looks okay, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. So flash flood warnings continue. The storm structure itself, at least, appears to be weakening a little bit, which is great news. We want that storm to weaken. Look at the look at here over the past. This is an animation over the past 15 minutes. I kind of want to take it a step further and I promise we're going to be back in business in a second. There we go. I kind of want to take it a step further here and show you the evolution of this particular storm and how it kind of played out over time. Because it started out, believe it or not, it did at one point start out as a supercell thunderstorm, and then now it is kind of weakened. But as we put this back into play mode over the past hour, actually we can do a little bit longer than that. We can do 2 hours. Watch how this kind of evolved. So at 3:08 it was dry. All of a sudden you get this cell that pops up near Bond Center. It got a severe thunderstorm warning on it for a short period of time. This presented exactly, this is not live radar, this was at 3:57. For a period of time, this looked exactly like a supercell. It was an elevated supercell thunderstorm, right? We had the inflow notch, we had the hail core on the north side. And then, as we kind of progressed through time, notice there might even been a little bit of rotation in there. The storm started to weaken. It lost its inflow notch at around 4:20. The main inflow notch here out near Bond Center fell apart. So then the storm starts thinking to itself, well, what am I going to do? It ends up trying to restructure itself back to the west, right? And then you had a new inflow notch come into this severe cell right here. Again, supercell storm. This was at 4:29. Inflow here, hail core on the north side. I think what ended up happening was there's just not a lot of mid or upper level movement with this cell, which is why it's been drifting so slowly. And then at some point it just kind of lost it all. It lost any supercell component, and now it is weakening really quickly. I think the other thing that's probably happening with this particular cell is keep in mind it has been raining and sitting over the same spot for a couple hours now. At some point, that cell and that thunderstorm is using up all of the energy in the atmosphere, the CAPE, the convective available potential energy. That cell, as it sits over the same location, is using up the energy. And so at some point, it's almost like, the way that you can think of it is you have a big glass of water and you start slowly pouring out the water, slowly pouring out the water, slowly pouring out the water, and the water, in this analogy, is the energy. And then at some point, the water is gone. You've pulled all the water out. So I think we're running out of storm fuel and energy here, CAPE, for this storm to sustain itself because it's been over the same spot for a long time. So I don't think it's necessarily severe anymore when it comes to wind. However, the hydrology side of this is still really important because it is raining extremely heavily despite this storm weakening, falling apart, losing energy. It is still raining very hard in Heber and near and just east of El Centro and Anza. And so because of that, we still have two considerable flash flood warnings that are in effect. One of them until 7, that includes Bond Center. Another considerable flash flood warning until 7:30, that one includes Waterman's Corner, and also includes Interstate 8, parts of Interstate 8 here as well. So let's look back at the accumulation. And this is just another way to look at the rainfall rates, or the rainfall rate right this second. This is not a look back, so I stand corrected. But right now, the rainfall rate and you can see the legend up here in the upper right-hand corner, is extreme. It's extreme rainfall coming down east of El Centro. I mean, it's loud. It might even be a little scary. Down through Heber and then northward. Extreme rainfall rates at the moment. In terms of accumulations over the past, few hours or so, this is the past 3 hours, you can see extremely high accumulations as well. I mean, and it's so important to think about, alone, when you look at some of these numbers alone, right? When you think about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rainfall alone, and I used this analogy yesterday and I'll use it again today. When we get big winter storms here during our winter storm season, December through like March, and we go over the forecast and we say, okay, this storm system is expected to bring 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. That 1 to 3 inches of rainfall isn't falling over the course of 2 hours. It's falling over the course of 2 days. That's number one. Number two, consider the fact that this is a desert floor with plenty of dry canyon beds, creeks, streams. When you talk about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall that falls over the desert floor here, with some urban areas like El Centro, Waterman's Corner, Bond's Corner, Calexico, that is a recipe for some really significant flooding. And so for right now, I am absolutely in agreement with the National Weather Service that, it was a good idea to pull the trigger on these 2 considerable flash flood warnings. Here's a look at rainfall rates right now. Again, extremely heavy. And I'm focusing less on the severe and more on the flooding threat because the storm is weakening. But wow, I mean, this is incredible. So take this for an example. If the storm that we had right now maintained its current strength and sat over Heber for the next hour, 5 inches of rain would fall. I don't think that's going to happen. The storm is weakening, obviously, and it's not going to sit over the same spot. But it puts into perspective just how high these rainfall rates are, and then also why, in fact, we have the considerable flash flood warnings in place. All right, back up to our severe storm to the north. This one is getting better organized, for sure. And this one is near Imperial Gables and near Mesquite, and north of Acalita as well. And I'm checking the text from the National Weather Service and seeing if they have any update for us on this. Winds still to 60 miles per hour. I'll tell you what, this one is almost kind of starting to look like a supercell as well. You have 2 different areas of rain and 2 different cells. You have your northern storm up here, and then the southern storm down here looks a little bit stronger and has a more defined inflow notch. And so the reason that this northern storm has been struggling so much and isn't taking off quite as much is because its inflow is being choked off to the storm to the south. And so obviously the storm to the south is going to behave a lot more strong. Because as you look at its inflow, and again, inflow is just warm, moist air that is feeding into the storm, it's undisturbed. There is no rain out near Clyde. There's no rain out near Ruthven, excuse me. So that inflow, the warm, moist air, is feeding right into the storm, and it's starting to take that hook shape. There is a little bit of mid-level rotation out there today. So that's why you're starting to see that hook shape taking place. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, we had a similar setup out in Arizona, and it prompted, I think, 2 or 3 tornado warnings. I think our tornado threat today is very low, but we're starting to see some supercell structures within this storm, and all that really means to you is that supercells are some of the strongest storms on Earth. And so as we watch these storms behave and we watch them kind of take the shape of supercells, it's just kind of a reminder that, yeah, it could put down some big hail. It may put down some really significant wind as well. And also the possibility, which I really haven't mentioned as much, and I should, with this wind out in the desert, in the high desert, it's going to kick up all that wind and blow it around as dust. So let's get down a little closer into this storm and kind of dissect it like we have been doing with our other storms. Right now it is north of Ocalita and northwest of Mesquite, but in Mesquite you're definitely getting some rainfall. I'm going to turn on our Barron button here, is what it's called, or a threat detector, and you know this is one of my favorite products. Our threat detector tool can tell us anything from rain all the way up to wind shear, and it can do it so well. Extremely accurate. So within this storm right now, at its most intense part where the hail core is, we're finding hail that is at least 1 inch. So there is a hail core on this storm in north central Imperial County, more like east central Imperial County. There's a hail core with hail up to 1 inch in here, and then obviously some high rainfall rates as well. Let me show you, let me go back over to some of our dual pole rainfall rates. If this storm was to sit over the same area, we just did this with the storm to the south, I mean, this is even more impressive. If this storm was to sit in the exact location that it is right now, which is approximately 4 miles to the northeast of Ocalita, and let's just say it sat there for an hour. It is moving, so it's not going to happen. But it would produce up to 7 inches of rain within that hour. So that's the analogy that we use when we talk about rainfall rates. If the storm sat over the same area for an hour, it would produce 7.3 inches of rainfall, which is just incredible to think about. So this is a very, very strong storm. Precipitable water values are high today. And so, you know, that's why we're getting the storms with such big rainfall rates. By the way, the good news is they have canceled the severe thunderstorm warning, or it expired on time, near El Centro and Anza and down here near Calexico. The severe thunderstorm warning, this is your update, the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. However, the flash flood warnings, the considerable flash flood warnings remain in effect for spots like Bond Center, Calexico, Waterman's Corner until 7 and 7:30 respectively, because of the very high rainfall that has fallen. Obviously, the storm that has our attention right now is the severe storm that is out here near Mesquite and Ocalita, that is producing rain and a little bit of hail in there. Most of the hail that you're going to find is down to about, you know, penny size maybe, but there could be some quarters in there, up to 1 inch, not out of the question either. So for sure, absolutely, a hail core in there, but widespread severe hail is not likely. The winds, I'm not even sure necessarily that there are going to be widespread gusts in here up to 60, but there could certainly be some pockets of 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts. Let's check base velocity again for a second. And we can check out a couple of different tools here. A little range folding going on. All right, so this is an estimate right now of some of the wind gusts in here. 13, 14, 15 miles per hour. Again, that is from the Yuma radar site, which is shooting up into the sky, so what you're seeing is not necessarily at the surface. There could also be, again, a little bit of mid-level rotation down in here. I would not expect any kind of tornado threat to develop with this storm. It's been a little bit since we put a track on this. I want to get the movement. Again, it has been moving generally. Well, there were 2 cells. One of them fell apart because the inflow got cut off. And then we have this main cell here further to the south that looks like it's moving northeast at about 5 miles per hour, 5 to 10. Notice how the west side of the cell is now getting a little bit stronger as well. So let's pull this out for a second and see if we can't put a tracker on this as it moves east there at 5. I'm not getting any towns because, again, the population out here is so low. But there are still folks who live out here, and it is my obligation, and I'm happy to do it anytime we have a severe thunderstorm warning in Imperial County at any point in Imperial County. We cover it wall to wall, meaning that we're streaming until either the severe thunderstorm warning expires or the storm weakens below severe limits. So look at the behavior of this storm here over the past 15 minutes. It is now kind of lost its inflow. First of all, the inflow has been choked off a bit, so there's no longer this clean inflow coming into the storm. However, it is back building, if you will, or kind of redeveloping on the western flank. So now it's this area and here where you're seeing the purple that we have the heavier rain. Here's a small community of Amos. Very small community. This is Ted Kipf Road. If you're familiar with the area, here's Acolita. The cell is north of there, and it is drifting to the north and northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So at a really slow rate, 5 to 10 miles per hour to the northeast. Not many folks in the line of this storm. This one's kind of all out here by itself. Imperial Gables, you're seeing the lightning strikes off to the west. Just out of curiosity, yeah, like I said, there is a little bit of rotation in here. This is mid-level rotation that we're picking up on, but let's see if this corresponds with kind of where the inflow was to this storm, and it does match up a little bit. So you're looking at our rotation detector, and there have been some pockets, some very minor pockets of mid-level rotation that have been popping up here and there. Again, the storms today have been elevated above the surface, and so it would kind of take a lot to get some of this mid-level rotation and higher level rotation down towards the ground to actually trigger a tornado warning. But nonetheless, our rotation tracker does pick up on at least some strong rotation pockets, very small pockets of strong rotation here. Another area of some strong rotation, mid-level rotation, south of Acolita and north of Mesquite. But regardless, again, tornado threat is not going to be there just because of the fact that the storms are elevated today above the surface. And so, again, not expecting any tornado warnings this afternoon or this evening. This storm is still pretty electric out here west of Imperial Gables. We're talking about over the past 15 minutes, 27 strikes of lightning. It may be trying to weaken a little bit. Let's see. You know, you had that one cell to the north. It fell apart. The southern storm became the dominant storm more than anything at this point. And again, as we try to pinpoint if there's any hail in here, yeah, there is a little bit of hail for sure that's falling in here. Kind of where we have that inflow notch in our little area of rotation, north and northeast of Acolita is where we likely have a little bit of hail that's falling. Another small pocket of hail that is likely northwest of Imperial Gables. Let's see if we can query on the actual hail sizes on this storm. Not with this product. We certainly can, though, with this product. And so the hail sizes on this, and this is real time. The hail swath I showed you a second ago is maybe dated by like 5 or 10 minutes. Real time right now, by approximately 5 miles northeast of Acolita, or about 5 miles to the northeast of Amos. We do have a bit of hail that's falling inside the most intense part of this storm. It's below severe limits in terms of the hail size, looking at about 1/2 inch. But the rain is obviously going to be the biggest concern with this particular cell. The severe thunderstorm warning set to expire here in less than 20 minutes at 5:45 on this guy. Let's see how much rain has fallen. If I sound like I'm being a little bit vague, it's just because this is an area that is extremely sparsely populated. So I love to track storms out. I love to go down to street level, but this is just mountainous terrain over here, and hardly anybody lives out here. Some people do, which is why we're streaming. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, this part of the country and this part of Imperial County just doesn't get covered by media and by local news outlets. And so that's what I'm here for, is we cover this extensively no matter where it is in Imperial County, even if it's in one of these spots where 1 or 2 people and a handful of cows live, right? Which is totally okay. But the rainfall rates on this particular storm, again, west of Imperial Gables, north of Okalita, have been impressive. There's no flash flood warning, but still about 1.5 inches, close to 2 inches of rain in the higher terrain above Okalita. There could be a little bit of flash flooding that's ongoing up in that area as well. What else is happening out there right now? Let me show you the reflectivity. So obviously, showers and thunderstorms kind of continue to pop up here across Imperial County. We had one severe storm that was down by Mexicali, and that was north of near Calexico and Bonds Corner. It has weakened. It has fallen apart. We have more storms that are trying to go up here near Elmore Desert Ranch. Here's a Salton Sea, by the way, Salton City up here. We have more storms that are trying to pop and develop near Elmore Desert Ranch. So this area in here is definitely getting some heavy amounts of rain from Cane Springs down through Elmore Desert Ranch, a little cell near Westmoreland, some rain trying to creep into Brawley. All of this is sub-severe at this time, but we'll see if these storms intensify. This one near the Salton Sea, close to Elmore Desert Ranch, has 1 lightning strike on it. Obviously not anything to write home about, but we'll see whether or not it intensifies or continues to intensify. Here's our cell again over the higher terrain of East Central Imperial County, and it looks like the hail core shot up a little bit on this again, doesn't it? So here's the community of Amos, approximately 7 miles northeast of Amos. We have some big hail that's falling. So if I was in Amos, I would kind of look to the east, and it's probably a very cool look to see this storm. But hail core has shot up a little bit on it. Severe thunderstorm warning obviously continues till 5:45. It's another 15 minutes on this, but you're seeing some of these darker black colors here that are showing up right in here. That's where we're finding likely some larger hail coming in too. So let's go ahead and pull our Barron button and see if it has picked up on it yet. And for right now, I think it's still seeing hail in the size of about 1/2 inch, but I would bet there's some inch hail in here at least on the western flank of the cell. And the reason why this could be happening, the reason why our hail might be upticking a little bit, is this right here could be a new little inflow notch coming into the storm. Although usually we like our inflow to come out of the south and southeast, not the north and northwest. But regardless, this could be a little inflow tail that we're watching, and that could have briefly helped the storm strengthen a little bit to the point now where we're getting some maybe bigger hail in here. Let me check for updates from the National Weather Service in Phoenix on if they have any update to what they want to do with this storm, and if they've changed any of the text here on it. They're saying that the main concern is still for wind gusts up to about 60 miles per hour on this cell. We can pull velocity again, but I was having a hard time finding some of those wind gusts. Maybe in here. I hate using vague terms like in here or around here or in this spot, and the only reason I'm doing that is again because this is such a sparsely populated area. There we go. So yeah, there may be some gusts to around 60, several miles. Let's do this, because I don't like it's so vague saying in here, around here. About 8 miles northeast of the community of Amos, there may be some wind gusts exceeding that severe criteria above 58 miles per hour. You can see some of the winds plotted on there. 30, 35, 40, and remember that's a radar beam that is shooting above the surface. And so closer to the ground, down at the surface, more than likely, we're getting the winds, again, in this general vicinity, 8 miles north and northeast of Amos. Here is where we're probably finding some pockets of wind gusts that are reaching 60 miles per hour. Okay, let's put a track on this storm, and that's the one thing that I did want to do. Oh yeah, there you go. Look at that. There's your new inflow notch. There's your new inflow notch coming into this storm right now. That's warm, moist air feeding into the storm. Here's the tail or the hook that we talk about. And then on the north side, there's your hail core. So, supercell thunderstorm right there. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. That is a ugly looking storm. And again, a lot of people think that supercells are confined to the plains, the Midwest, the Southeast. Not the case at all. I mean, we have a real-time supercell that is developing right now here over the higher terrain of Imperial County. So let's go ahead and turn on our velocity again. Well, okay, first thing I was going to do is track this storm as it moves northeast. Wow. Yeah, it's a signature I haven't seen around here in a while. Okay, it's moving northeast according to the National Weather Service right at, what do they say, 5 miles per hour, 6 miles per hour? Let's check on it. Yeah, northeast at 5. Let's see if that is still the case as we look at the loop. Yeah, northeast at about 5. And we'll just do a big wide cone. So hopefully we can get some population centers in here, right? Northeast at 5. And forget about it. We're not going to get any populations. Yeah, take a screenshot of this because we have a significant supercell right now that is developed in East Central Imperial County, and it definitely has a strong inflow notch into it. It is over nowhere land. It is northwest of Imperial Gables, north of Ocalita, north of Amos. There's nothing out here besides, you know, the occasional farm and maybe some cows. I did plot out some roads. Here we go. So Dites Road and Smoke Tree Lane, Ironwood Drive. You're not underneath this severe thunderstorm warning right now, but if I were you, I would start thinking about moving inside and moving to shelter because lightning strikes may be getting closer to you. Eventually, even though the storm is moving northeast at about 5 miles per hour, we're going to run into this area. Dites Road, Smoke Tree Lane, Ironwood Drive, getting up into Milpitas Wash Road. If this storm continues on its current trajectory, which is north and east, it's going to bump into some of these areas here that I was talking about, some of these roads up here. This area here has a little bit more in the way of populations. You know, we saw some neighborhoods out here, we saw some street names, and here's my concern going into the next hour to hour and a half, right? As this cell continues to move towards the north, it is going to eventually kind of come into some of these spots like Smoke Tree Lane, Dites Road, Midway Well Road, Milpitas Wash Road, and look at the terrain out here. Eventually, as this cell tracks into this area and produces heavy rain, and remember, it's only moving at about 5 miles per hour, it's going to come into the dry desert down here, but also start running into the mountainous terrain up above Milpitas Wash Road. And if that happens, if this cell maintains its strength and we get high rainfall rates over this area, what may end up happening is we could get into a bit of a situation with flash flooding, with the water running down towards Milpitas Wash Road, Midway Well Road, Smoke Tree Lane. These are all spots that I would say in the next hour to hour and a half, just be prepared for this strong storm to move in your direction. Right now, as we kind of do a mileage track on this, the storm is now 7.5 miles to the west of Smoke Tree Lane, and it is still a severe storm, with the main concern being 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Although it may be weakening a little bit, it could be ticking down. We'll see if it tries to recycle. It certainly did recycle there for maybe 5 minutes. It was a legit supercell. Now it looks like it's weakening a little bit more as we kind of tilt the frame south to north once again. Yeah, there was a little rotation on that for sure when it was at its supercell strength. It is weakening now. Other storms that we're watching here across Imperial County, these storms have really taken off near Elmore Desert Ranch, south of the Salton Sea in Cane Spring. I'm curious to see if there is any kind of special weather statement on them. There might be, and there's not at this time. But here's Elmore Desert Ranch, getting heavy amounts of rain, a little bit of thunder and lightning as well. Not a ton of lightning strikes. The general direction of this cell is moving to the north and northeast at about 5 miles per hour. So let's kind of put a track on this for you. Right now it's not severe, it's just heavy rain and a little bit of gusty winds. And then I'm going to push the track out further. By just a bit. So, again, it's moving slow. It's a non-severe cell, but there is heavy rain just south of the Salton Sea. This is all south of Salton City, but on its current path, it heads up towards Fondo by around 6:24, Verdant by around 7:08, and Nilland by around 8:29. That's if it holds itself together, which 50-50 bet with some of these storms. The storms today have definitely been able to maintain their strength and their composure and their intensity a little bit longer than the storms yesterday over the San Diego County mountains. And that's really just because we have some extra forcing. There's a low pressure system off the coast of California. We have our monsoon ridge. Those are kind of working together, steering up the current a bit. And a little extra lift. So we're getting a little extra lift out there with some of these cells, and that is what's helped them to maintain themselves longer and also be severe for a little bit longer. I want to check, let's do this, because what I haven't done today is look at our Nowcast. Nowcast is great. Nowcast is a tool, by the way, that we use, and it's exclusive to us here as well at Chad Curley Weather. That basically it's not a computer model, right? It doesn't necessarily simulate forecasts that are to come. Instead, it reverses it. It looks at the storms that are exactly there right now on radar, and then tries to pick up on where they go next with both their speed and their intensity. So let's look at this together. We're going to put Nowcast into motion, and notice what happens with our cell out here near Elmore Desert Ranch. Nowcast says it stays strong all the way through about 6:54. So towards the 7 o'clock hour, it says it stays strong, and it might even get severe as it approaches Nilland and Calipatria. So that's why I said, and that's why I extended that track really far out, Nilland, Calipatria, Iris, I would start thinking about your dinner plans tonight. I know it's already almost 6 o'clock, but if you do have dinner plans, start thinking about maybe moving them inside. If perhaps you're running to the grocery store later this evening, if you can, postpone that until tomorrow morning. I would maybe avoid taking the dog for a walk tonight in some of these areas, like Fondo, Calipatria, and Nilland, unless you do it now, unless you do it in the next hour or so. So either do those errands now or wait, because this storm is going to be rolling east from Elmore Desert Ranch, and it may be strong, it may be severe. Either way, heavy rain will eventually make it into Nilland and Calipatria there eventually. Look at what Nowcast does with this cell that is over rural northeast Imperial County, or severe cell. It keeps it strong, right? It does not show it weakening at all. And it also kind of keeps a supercellular look to it. So we'll be watching that and see what happens eventually with that. Although for right now, it is all but weakened. So severe thunderstorm warning till 5:45. They're going to let that one expire on time. It may reorganize if Nowcast is correct up here, out towards Palo Verde. But we'll see. For right now, it looks like it is weakened completely. Storms that are not weakening, and this is sort of an untapped environment today out here across western Imperial County, in the sense that we have not seen any rain or thunderstorms until now. The atmosphere has plenty of energy, instability, fuel. There's a little bit of wind shear out there, and so kind of an untapped environment in the sense that we're now seeing thunderstorms develop in this area. So I'm going to be very curious to see in the next little bit what happens with these storms and how they behave. We're about a minute away from our severe thunderstorm warning there out here in east central Imperial County expiring. Once that happens, we'll no longer have any severe alerts in place across the areas that I cover, except for the flash flood warnings. But we won't have any active severe thunderstorm warnings in San Diego or Imperial County. So what we'll do is we'll kind of run through what happened today, and then we'll take you into Futurecast to show you what the rest of the evening looks like. So the time now is 5:44. Our severe thunderstorm warning in northeast Imperial County obviously has going to expire here in less than 60 seconds. The cell has weakened quite substantially. I do want to remind you that there are still 2 considerable flash flood warnings in place across southern Imperial County. One of them is out here near Bonds Corner until 7 o'clock, and then the other polygon is to the west until 7:30. And there are considerable flash flood warnings, and just because it stopped raining doesn't mean the flooding threat is over. Sometimes it takes a little bit for rain to pile up, and you can see obviously why we have these flash flood warnings in place. 1 to 2 inches of rain have fallen over our flash flood warned area over the past 3 hours, which is sometimes what Imperial County gets in like 6 months. And that is why we have these flash flood warnings in place. I don't have any ground confirmation that there's flooding taking place, but just be mindful if you're driving. Please use extra caution. It's cheesy, corny, turn around, don't drown, that type of stuff. But just don't drive through flooded waters, please. But with that being said, no active severe warnings now in Imperial County, just 2 very strong storms that continue to intensify near Elmore Desert Ranch. These look like they may be splitting off into 2 different cells. You have 1 cell here, 1 cell here. We'll see what kind of happens. They're going to head northeast like that. Fondo, Calipatria, Nilland, all spots that I would watch out for heavy rain. Obviously, if these storms do become severe, we'll jump right back on stream. I kind of have a feeling we're not done with severe weather yet tonight. But obviously we're warning free for the time being. Let's take you through Futurecast and show you what to expect, and then I'll show you the 7-day for the rest of the evening here tonight. As I jump on into Futurecast, I'm going to make sure the model run that we're using is the latest, and that our time settings are set correctly. Local time will take us through tonight. We'll do midnight. Okay, so here's what Futurecast expects to happen from this point forward. And again, I like using a computer model that shows what's happening right now. It does do a good job of depicting kind of our cells, albeit they're a little further east from where they actually are now. But it does a great job of depicting our cells right now that are out near the Salton Sea. These are actually the cells near the Salton Sea that our computer model is picking up on. But let's, again, kind of go through time and show you what to expect. So we run the clock forward 7 o'clock, about an hour from now. Still some showers and thunderstorms across northeast Imperial County. Some of them may be strong, a couple of them could be severe, but then I think once we get past 9 o'clock, our severe weather threat and the rainfall threat will be done. And then storms move a little closer to Lake Havasu City, up towards Bulkhead City, and maybe even Las Vegas. So let me show you the extended forecast now for Imperial County as I play this forward. Our severe weather threat tomorrow is gone. Our monsoonal high is gone. A low pressure system will approach. It's going to turn windy. There'll be some gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour in southwestern Imperial County outside of thunderstorms. There won't be any thunderstorms tomorrow, so high-profile vehicles take note. 102 on Thursday. It's cooler through the weekend. 104 Saturday, 108 on Sunday, and then the ridge kind of builds back in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we get back to about 110 out through about 112. And so that's kind of, I think, the warming trend that we'll certainly see on the way a little bit later on. All right, that is the very latest now. Again, we're warning free. If another warning pops up, we'll jump right back onto stream. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and stay safe out there, everybody. And we'll see you soon.